On a calm Tuesday evening, my world quietly began to shift. I was in the kitchen, chopping green peppers for dinner, the familiar rhythm of everyday life settling over me like a well-worn blanket. At 32, I had carved out a comfortable, if modest, life as an architectural engineer. Emma, my girlfriend of nearly 2 years, shared this apartment with me. She was 29, vibrant, full of energy, and lately restless. We'd been living together for 9 months, long enough for the edges of romance to blur into routine. I didn't think we were perfect, but I believe we were solid. When she walked in that evening, something in her energy was different. The usual warmth in her voice was gone, replaced by something cooler, uncertain. She avoided eye contact as she sat down at the counter, her fingers anxiously twisting a napkin. I asked if she was okay. That's when she looked at me, almost apologetically, and said, "What if we pretended to break up for a week, just to see what it's like?" I paused, the knife hovering above the cutting board, her words clanging in my mind. "Pretend to break up?" I repeated, unsure if I'd heard correctly. She launched into a rehearsed explanation, saying it wasn't real, just an experiment, something her friend Claire had done with her partner to test their bond. It was supposed to be a reset, a way to evaluate our feelings, to see if the relationship still held the same meaning. But something about the idea felt off. My instincts stirred, whispering that this was less about introspection and more about creating space for something or someone else. I didn't accuse her. I simply asked why she thought we needed this. Her answers felt flimsy. She mentioned self-discovery, therapy, emotional growth. It all sounded like a carefully packaged excuse. Still, despite my doubts, I agreed. Not because I was convinced, but because I could see she'd already made her decision. Resistance would only prolong the inevitable. "All right," I said with a quiet nod. For a moment, her face flickered with what looked like disappointment. Maybe she expected me to protest, to fight for her, but I've never believed in dramatic gestures. I don't beg. We established ground rules. No communication unless it was about the apartment, and she'd stay at Claire's place. That night, she packed a small bag and left. The apartment felt strangely peaceful without her. It was the first truly restful night I'd had in months. Day one passed like any other. I went to work, hit the gym, shared a beer with a colleague. No word from Emma. Oddly, I didn't miss her. Day two was similar. I caught up on overdue tasks, watched a thriller she would have found too intense, and called my brother to catch up. Still no messages. I began to wonder what that silence really meant. Then came day three. During lunch, I idly scrolled through Instagram, something I rarely do. I froze mid-scroll. There she was, Emma, curled up on a couch beside a guy I didn't recognize. His arm draped around her shoulder, her head tilted toward him like it belonged there. The caption read, asterisk, "Sometimes life hands you exactly what you need." Asterisk, the photo was posted that morning. It wasn't taken at Claire's. The furniture was unfamiliar. The lighting was intimate. So much for a temporary reset. I stared at the screen, the sandwich in my hand forgotten. Anger simmered beneath the surface. But I didn't lash out. Instead, I cleaned up my lunch, took a deep breath, and began making calls. First, to my landlord, Dave. I explained the situation. He was understanding, but legally clear. Emma was still on the lease. I couldn't lock her out or remove her belongings without risking an illegal eviction. If she'd moved out permanently, we could revise the lease. But I needed to tread carefully. Next, I contacted Alex, a friend and lawyer. He echoed Dave's advice. No rash moves. No cutting corners. Keep records. Don't give her a reason to claim wrongdoing. Lastly, I called my friend Ryan, who had a spare room. He said I could stay as long as I needed. I packed my essentials and then, with deliberate calm, retrieved Emma's luggage from the closet. I packed her clothes, toiletries, and the basics, enough for her to get by. I left her by the front door, took photos of everything, and sent her a simple text. Asterisk, saw your Instagram. Your stuff's by the door. I'm staying elsewhere. We're done. Asterisk. Then I silenced her number and left. That night, I slept at Ryan's. The next morning, over breakfast, he helped me browse short-term rentals. I wasn't going to share a space with someone who played games behind my back. By noon, Emma had finally texted. Asterisk, what's wrong with you? We're just on a break. Not over. Where are you? Asterisk, I didn't respond. We checked the apartment later that day. Her luggage was gone, but she hadn't touched anything else. I grabbed more of my things and left again. The next day, I called Dave to revisit the lease. He said either of us could take over solo if the other agreed. With my stable income and solid rental history, he was confident I'd be approved. That evening, Emma called. I picked up. Her voice trembled. Ready to stop pretending? She asked, like it was all part of the game. You said we were done, I reminded her. And 3 days into this experiment, you're wrapped up with another guy. She swore it was innocent. That was Ethan, a colleague. You got it wrong. I don't care who he was. I replied, the point is, you showed me exactly what I needed to see. She broke down then, crying. It was a test to see if you'd fight for me, to show you cared. And there it was, the real reason. This wasn't about clarity or growth. It was a control play, a desperate attempt to make me prove something. I'd missed the signs before, her constant need for reassurance, the way she twisted small things into emotional landmines, her craving for drama. Well, I said I passed. I care enough about myself not to chase someone who manipulates me. She tried to argue. We have a lease. I've already talked to Dave. I interrupted. You can stay, or I can stay. Either way, we're done. She was stunned, not just by my words, but by how prepared I was. A few days later, we finalized the lease transfer. I stayed. She moved out. Dave processed everything efficiently. It cost me some fees, but it bought me peace. When she came with Claire to collect the rest of her belongings, I wasn't home. I took photos before and after to protect myself. Her texts kept coming. Anger, sorrow, confusion. I replied only when necessary. Then came her social media campaign. Vague posts about betrayal and men who fear strong women. Some mutual friends reached out confused. I stuck to the truth. A few sided with her. I let them go. 2 weeks later, I bumped into Ethan at a coffee shop. He looked uneasy but approached. I didn't know she was in a relationship, he said, showing me the messages, flirty texts sent weeks before our so-called break. He seemed decent. Just another piece in her performance. I thanked him and wished him well. A month has passed. I'm still in the apartment, but I plan to move when the lease ends. Too many ghosts in the corners. Emma and Ethan aren't together. He pulled away after learning the truth. She keeps spinning her version of events, claiming I overreacted to a harmless test. But I know better. 3 months on, things are even clearer. Dave offered me a renovated one-bedroom unit in the same building. Lower rent, clean slate. I took it. Emma's attempts to smear me fizzled out. Apparently, she tried the same breakup stunt with Ethan. He didn't fall for it. Her credibility collapsed. Then, out of nowhere, her ex, Chris, reached out over drinks. He told me Emma pulled the same tricks on him. He recounted how she once pretended to leave town to test his loyalty, only to stay at a nearby hotel. She thrives on chaos, he said. If it's peaceful, she'll create a storm to feel important. That conversation brought closure. It wasn't about me failing a test. It was about her need for constant control. I've started dating again. Slowly. I'm not rushing. Emma sharpened my instincts the hard way, and now I know what to watch for. When she tried to claim half the security deposit, Dave's office shut her down. She'd broken the lease voluntarily. Her social media is now filled with self-help quotes about healing and self-worth. The irony writes itself. Friends sometimes ask if I regret walking away so decisively. I don't. Not even for a second. That wasn't a mistake. That was clarity, packaged as a game. And the only way to pass a test like that is to walk.